When given the question whether or not to use social media in the workplace, as an HR professional, I would definitely implement the use of social media through my employees within a multinational corporation. Now, the use of social media would be very specific, and it wouldn't be a broad and open line of communication for the employees to the public or to business partners or anybody specifically. I would not make it mandatory for my employees to use social media, but those who wish to use it would have to do so under a contract signed with them and the corporation. Now, this contract wouldn't be a legally binding huge packet, but it would definitely have do's and don'ts as to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable when posting, sharing, liking, or any sorts of uploading through social media that have to do with any of the business ventures, partners, or any work in general within the corporation. Now, if this contract was broken in any way, there would be a definite punishment, and there would be an automatic investigation as to what was posted, what was said, what was shared, and this could definitely, if it was severe enough, could lead to termination of employment. And I know this kind of sounds like it could get a little tricky and pretty sticky with contracts and all this legal stuff going back and forth, but I think the contract that would be written out would be simple enough and clear enough for the employees to understand what is and what is not acceptable. Now, a lot of this would have to do with just common sense in general, but for those who decided that it was in their best interest not to use social media because they didn't want to deal with any contracts or legally binding mess for that matter, then they would be allowed not to. The employees would have the choice if they decided to not to use social media whatsoever. Now, this is just talking in terms of social media through the workplace. Obviously, people's personal social media could be all to them, and that could be something that happens all outside of the workplace. Now, that doesn't mean we absolutely banned anybody checking their Facebook, their Twitter, or their Instagram within the workplace, but it means that through monitoring the servers and the way we go about using the search engines that the employees would use in the office, if we see that a lot of social media is being used for an employee who doesn't have a contract with using social media for the business, and if it's an excess amount of time, then we'd have to address that. So it could come with also a consequence if there's an employee who's not under contract using social media in our corporation, but is spending, say, 2 or 3 hours a day on Facebook, because obviously that would hinder their productivity and it would hurt their department. Now, as an HR specialist, we would definitely encourage that all of our employees use social media. And one reason why we do this, or one reason why how we'd encourage it, is to give our employees incentives if they are using it for the work. For example, if an employee is using any of the variety of social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Pinterest, Twitter, if they are doing so in a productive manner and they're marketing the corporation in a positive way and they're getting very positive feedback, then there can be incentives such as a pay increase, more vacation time, a package of some sort, any kind of total compensation that we sought fit for the appropriate department and for the appropriate employee, we would definitely give to them. Now, this wouldn't be something for every employee, and this wouldn't be something that employees would have to fight over, because it would be at the end of the quarter or end of the year, there would be some sort of clear incentive that if they hit that number, then they will be awarded either money, vacation time, or some sort of package. One way to monitor this, because I know it could be tricky of who's doing the best over social media, would be what we used in class with the clout. I think that's something that is very definitive, because it gives you a graph of what this person has done from 1 month to another month, and over it could be over a year or quarter, like I said before. So I think the cloud score could be one way of kind of tracking this and using it as a benchmark as to how or whom is doing the best when marketing the business. And like I said before, well, as far as personal use goes, we're obviously not gonna um, be able to track every single person's personal use of social media. But if somebody is spending hours a day on Facebook, then that becomes a problem because it decreases their productivity as an employee. So if you're not under contract and you're spending X amount of time a day on social media and you don't have a social media contract with our corporation, then that would be a problem, and then we would have to address that separately. Um, as far as personal social media use goes, that's fine for as long as it's outside the workplace. And I understand that sometimes somebody might check their Instagram for a couple minutes or during a lunch break, and that's totally acceptable. But like I said before, if they're spending a great deal of time on it, then that's when we'd have to address it. I think by um, rewarding our employees and giving them incentives to use social media, I think we would see a lot more a higher morale in the employees. I think it would also be a pretty cool and neat way, an innovative way to stay current with the technology and also market the business in a positive light through many demographics. And I think there's really more good than harm in using social media. Thanks.